There is a strange kind of regret that doesn't arrive immediately. It waits. It lets you enjoy the apartment, the car, the dinners, the vacations, the new phone. It lets you post the pictures. It lets everyone believe you're doing well. And then, 10 years later, you look at your life and realize something uncomfortable. You spend years paying for a lifestyle you never actually needed. Maybe it started innocently. You got a raise, and suddenly the apartment you could barely afford before became reasonable. Then came the nicer car, the better phone, more expensive restaurants, weekend trips, subscriptions you barely use. And because your income increased alongside your spending, nothing felt dangerous. That's the trap. Lifestyle inflation rarely feels like irresponsibility. It feels like progress. You tell yourself, I work hard. I deserve this. And maybe you do. But the question nobody asks is, what if every increase in income becomes an increase in obligation? Because slowly, your lifestyle stops being something you enjoy and becomes something you have to maintain. You can't easily leave the job you hate because the bills have grown around your salary. You can't take a financial risk because there isn't enough breathing room. You can't say no to work because your monthly commitments are saying yes for you. What most people never realize is that freedom isn't determined only by how much money you make. It's also determined by how much of your income you've already promised to the future. And 10 years from now, you may not regret buying the nice things. You may regret becoming dependent on them. Because there is a difference between being able to afford something and needing your income to keep it.
The second decision is quieter. You spend money to look successful, not because someone explicitly asked you to, because somewhere along the way you learned what success is supposed to look like. The designer clothes, the expensive restaurant, the beautiful apartment, the car, the vacations, the carefully edited photos that make your life appear effortless. And the strange part is that nobody tells you when you've crossed the line. You just start noticing that certain purchases feel less like enjoyment and more like evidence. Evidence that you're progressing. Evidence that you're not behind. Evidence that you're finally becoming the person you wanted to be. This is where money becomes psychological. Because sometimes we're not buying things, we're buying relief. Relief from comparison, relief from insecurity, relief from the feeling that everyone else is moving faster. Social media makes this even harder. You see someone your age buying a house, someone launching a business, someone traveling every month, someone announcing another promotion. And suddenly, your perfectly normal life feels inadequate. So you spend. Maybe you upgrade your phone when the old one works perfectly. Maybe you start eating at places that make your finances uncomfortable. Maybe you buy things because you don't want people to think you're struggling. But 10 years later, the purchase doesn't remember why you made it. The credit card doesn't care that you are trying to feel successful. The money is simply gone. And that's the painful part. Some of the things you spend money on today are temporary solutions to emotional problems that will still exist tomorrow. What if instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" you occasionally asked, "What am I trying to feel by buying this?" Because sometimes the most expensive purchases aren't the ones that cost the most. They're the ones we make while trying to convince ourselves that we're enough. Then there's the decision that feels the least exciting, ignoring your future because the present keeps demanding your attention. Rent, bills, family, emergencies, birthdays, travel, responsibilities. Life keeps happening, and saving for a version of yourself who doesn't even exist yet can feel almost impossible. You tell yourself you'll start later, when you earn more, when things settle down, when you get married, when the children are older, when the business improves, when the economy gets better. There is always a reason, and sometimes those reasons are completely legitimate. But slowly, later becomes a financial strategy. You keep postponing the person you will eventually become. The strange part is that 10 years doesn't feel like 10 years while you're living through it. It feels like next month, next year, soon. Then suddenly you're looking backward, wondering where the decade went. You don't necessarily regret every dinner, every vacation, every purchase. You regret that you never created enough space for your future to become easier. Because money has a strange relationship with time. Small decisions repeated quietly can become enormous. Not because one decision changed your life, but because you made the same decision hundreds of times. And this isn't about becoming obsessed with saving. It's about refusing to make your future pay for your present. Your future self will have problems you cannot predict. They may need flexibility. They may want to leave a toxic job. They may want to move, start something, help someone, rest. And the money you preserve today may become the freedom they need tomorrow. You aren't saving for a number. You're creating options for a person you haven't met yet. And that person is you.
There is another money decision that looks responsible from the outside. Staying somewhere you have outgrown because you are afraid of losing the income. The job is exhausting. The environment is toxic. You haven't learned anything new in years, but the paycheck arrives, so you stay. You tell yourself you're being practical, and maybe you are. Sometimes survival requires staying. But there's a difference between staying temporarily and building your entire identity around fear. Over time, your salary can become a psychological cage. The more expensive your lifestyle becomes, the harder it becomes to leave. The mortgage, the car payment, the school fees, the subscriptions, the expectations, the lifestyle you showed everyone. Suddenly, you're not just working for money, you're working to protect everything the money has created. And without noticing it, the job you once needed becomes the life you feel trapped inside. This is why financial independence isn't only about becoming rich. It's about creating enough breathing room that you can make decisions without desperation. Sometimes the most expensive financial decision isn't quitting. It's staying somewhere for 10 years while your skills, confidence, health, and curiosity slowly disappear. Because money can compensate you for your time, it cannot give you that time back. And 10 years from now, you may not remember the exact amount that appeared in your bank account every month, but you may remember how many mornings you woke up knowing you were living a life you didn't want. That's the part nobody puts into a spreadsheet, the opportunity cost of staying the same.
And perhaps the biggest decision you'll regret is believing that more money will automatically make you feel secure, because sometimes it doesn't. You earn more, then you worry about more. You upgrade your life, then you become afraid of losing it. Your income increases, your expectations increase with it, and suddenly you're making more money than you once dreamed of, but you're still checking your bank account with anxiety, still comparing yourself, still wondering if you're behind, still waiting for some future number to finally make you feel safe. But what most people never realize is that financial security is partly mathematical and partly psychological. You can build wealth while still feeling poor. You can earn a lot while living with constant financial fear. And you can own impressive things while having very little freedom. 10 years from now, the question won't simply be, how much money did I make? It will be, what did my money allow me to become? Did it buy you more options, more peace, more time, more control over your decisions? Did it help you build a life that actually felt like yours? Or did you spend the decade trying to look like you were doing well? Because money is not only a scoreboard, it's a tool, and every dollar is eventually going somewhere. Into a lifestyle, into debt, into someone else's expectations, into your future, or into freedom. The frightening thing is that you usually don't notice the direction while you're moving. You only notice it when enough years have passed to reveal the pattern. So maybe the goal isn't to make perfect money decisions. Maybe it's simply to become more conscious of the small ones, the purchase you don't need, the lifestyle you can't comfortably sustain, the future you keep postponing, the job you refuse to leave because you're afraid, the feeling you're trying to buy. Because 10 years from now, you won't be able to go back and negotiate with the person you are today. You'll simply inherit the consequences. And perhaps that is the most uncomfortable truth about money. Your future financial life is being built quietly while you're busy living your current one, and one day you'll have to live inside the life you built.